I was having y'all boy Rico from Street Scores, and man, there's a lot to talk about today. First of all, Chase Young is going through agility drills today, and I'm gonna break down what he looks like and how soon we can expect him back. He will not be back for this Bears game Thursday night, which is only 2 days away for sure. And I'm also gonna give y'all a big injury update on everybody, as far as guys like Jahan Dotson, Samuel Cosmi, Percy Butler, William Jackson, a lot of those guys, and even Carson Wentz with a right shoulder situation he has going on right now. And then also, we got to talk about how Ron Rivera basically blamed our 1-4 start on Carson Wentz. Now, he apologized afterwards, but we're definitely going to have to break down everything that's going on with that. And of course, I'm going to also include the actual video of when he said it, so you can see him say it yourself. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you pull up every Sunday for the During the Game live streams where I break down everything play by play that's going down in the games and analyzing everything, both good and bad. Also, make sure you pull up next Friday for the Broadcast Podcast, where we talk about everything funny. It's been a while, so we have a lot to discuss. We talk about everything funny going on in sports, music, everything. So make sure y'all pull up for that. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, let's start with Chase Young, because I'm pretty sure that's probably why most people are coming to this video. And here's a quick little video of him going through agility drills, and he looks a bit better than I expected, honestly. Here you go. Again, like I said, he looks better than I thought he would look in this video before I clicked on it. I mean, he looks loose, doesn't look like he has any type of like hobble or limp or anything, while he's doing the same thing other guys are doing to warm up. Now, granted, there's a big difference between being able to walk without a limp and actually being able to play NFL football. There's a huge difference. So again, like I said, I don't expect him to play against the Bears at all. It's a short week. It's only 2 days away, Thursday night. Now, he may return for the Green Bay Packers game because that's a week and a half to prepare. But even then, I'm not really sure about it. At this point, I'm definitely going towards like Halloween. I think our most realistic expectation for him to return is possibly October 30th. That Sunday game against the Indianapolis Colts at 4:25 p.m. in Indianapolis too. That's going to be Carson Wentz's revenge game for the Colts. We saw how that revenge game against the Eagles went. Didn't go too well, especially for the offense and Carson Wentz specifically. But we'll see, man. Maybe Chase Young will be enough to provide that spark for us to potentially beat the Colts, who's not playing well either right now. Even with Carson Wentz struggling here, you could tell it was not Carson Wentz's fault. If anything, they got worse going from Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan, honestly. But going back to Chase Young, man, I'm really excited and optimistic about his ability to play this season. Like I said, I'm predicting like Halloween, and I think when he comes back and when they finally decide to let him go, I think he's going to be explosive. I think he's going to be that big spark that we need, because like I said, like I've been saying, we have a bend but don't break defense, and that's why the Titans were such a tough matchup, because they're the best red zone offense in the NFL. And with us playing bend but don't break, and we consistently get into the red zone, but we usually hold teams to 3 points, or they make a mistake or something like that, you know, that can work, especially when your offense is able to put up points, which they haven't been able to the past few weeks. But that can work against a lot of teams, except for when you go against a red zone efficient team like the Titans. But with Chase Young, we potentially go from a bend but don't break defense to an explosive playmaking defense, that a disruptive defense that gets turnovers and things like that. And hopefully with Chase Young, we'll get some strip sacks. We saw Montez Sweat have his best game in a while that I've seen from him against the Tennessee Titans, and maybe Chase Young coming back would allow him to get more single blocks and things like that. And I just just think ultimately Chase Young coming back will help this defense immensely, because Cameron Curl has made a huge difference for this team. Our defense was atrocious, and then when Cameron Curl came back, and since he's been back, he's been rated the best safety in the NFL by Pro Football Focus since he's returned week 3 against the Eagles. He's played against the Eagles, Cowboys, and Titans, and our defense has looked immensely better since he's returned in those 3 games. They haven't been great, and they've allowed at least 21 points in every game, but it's more so like big plays and like a single individual's fault more so than just like the entire defense has been bad. For the most part, they've played fairly well. They just allowed too many explosive plays. Definitely not the fault of Cameron Curl, but like I said, since Cameron Curl's been back, our defense has been way better. We went from allowing 28 points to the Jaguars, 36 points to the Lions, to allowing 24 to the Eagles, who's probably the best team in the NFL, 25 to the Cowboys, which is just shameful, and then 21 to the Titans, the best red zone team in the NFL. Not great, but definitely a difference. And my point is, the way Cameron Curl returned and it changed our defense, hopefully Chase Young's return can have an even larger impact because he plays a more pivotal position. He plays defensive end, edge rusher, the guy that gets paid the second most in the NFL, because they're the main guys that's supposed to attack the highest paid player in the NFL, and that's the quarterback. That's why the left tackle is the 3rd highest paid player in the NFL, because he protects the quarterback from the 2nd highest paid player. So we'll see, man. I can't wait to see what Chase Young's impact looks like for this team, man. Like I said, do not expect him back anytime soon. Like I said, I'm predicting Halloween, but we'll see. And now let's go ahead and move on to the overall injury report for the team. Well, first of all, yesterday, as in Monday, the injury report was did not participate wise: Percy Butler with a quad injury, Samuel Cosmi with a finger injury, Jahan Dotson with a hamstring injury, and running back Jonathan Williams with a knee injury. And then limited were De'Ami Brown with a groin injury, Christian Holmes, David Mayo, both hamstring injuries, Logan Thomas with his calf injury, and Carson Wentz with his shoulder injury, his right shoulder. He was limited in practice yesterday, even though it was technically a walkthrough, but even then he was still limited in the walkthrough. And then cornerback William Jackson with a back injury participated full. So like I said, I mean, William Jackson's making it seem like it's an injury thing. Ron Rivera pretty much made it obvious that he basically just got benched, but we'll see, man. He's on the injury report. I don't know if that's just to cover it up or if he actually is supposed to be there, but apparently he does have an actual back issue for real, and maybe it's actually been harboring him for the past couple of weeks, but we'll see. And then on the Chicago Bears side, linebacker Matt Adams has a calf injury. He did not participate in yesterday's practice. Defensive backs Dane Creekshank with his hamstring injury participated fully, and Jalen Johnson with the quad injury participated fully. So they seem like a pretty healthy team, whereas we're toe up from top to bottom. I mean, several different position groups, man. It's ugly for us. And remember, we still have guys on IR and the PUP list. Those aren't even included on the injury report. And here goes another week with us having to go against a Georgia Bulldog, man. I hate having to root against my Bulldogs, man. Roquan Smith and Justin Fields, in a way, man, it hurts my heart, man. But today, practice-wise, Carson Wentz and the other quarterbacks were able to throw the ball around some. Today wasn't necessarily a walkthrough, but it was still a light day with no pads and no helmets either. But he was rubbing his shoulder in between reps in the beginning of practice. He was throwing lightly, and remember, he was mentioned to having a right shoulder injury in the injury report yesterday, and he was limited. But today, he was throwing fully, basically, technically fully participated, but it was a light practice anyway. And I mean, it's kind of hard to tell how serious the injury is, because even though he participated in a limited fashion yesterday, it's a short week. Most guys are going to kind of be limited, and that's why we had a walkthrough yesterday, and today we had a light practice with no shoulder pads and no helmets. But still, it is interesting that he was rubbing his shoulder in between passes in the beginning of practice, but they said by the end of the practice, he threw his normal amount that he would normally do in a practice, and then Taylor Heinicke took over and things like that. And then after people took photos of him and the media stopped recording, he didn't appear to touch his shoulder again. So we'll probably see what he looks like. Rivera will probably speak on it in practice, and I'll probably update y'all on that probably later today or tomorrow. But then also cornerback William Jackson III is with the DBs, but he was not going through drills. Again, dealing with the back issue. Percy Butler with his quad, Jahan Dotson with his hamstring were on the side field with trainers, so I doubt they play this Thursday against the Bears. William Jackson, I'm not worried about his back. It's just whether or not he's benched, but they'll probably start him against the Bears. And if he's messing up again and allowing all of his targets to be caught for an average of 10 yards and missing tackles before he got benched against the Titans, if he does that against the Bears, Harris will probably end up getting benched again. I hope he doesn't, though. And then Logan Thomas didn't participate in practice at all. Samuel Cosme didn't participate in practice as well. But I guess in sort of good news, probably bad news, because you kind of don't want him on the field much. But linebacker David Mayo ankle is participating in unit drills after sitting out in that Sunday loss against the Titans. So, I mean, it's good to have some more linebacker depth. But again, ideally, Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis plays every snap possible. But then again, with as bad as Jon Bostic was against the Titans, David Mayo is an upgrade over him as a backup behind Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb for sure. We actually missed David Mayo a little bit because Jon Bostic was terrible as expected. I just didn't think there would be a noticeable gap between Jon Bostic and David Mayo, and there clearly was. All right, and now moving on, we got to talk about this Rivera and Carson Wentz situation, because Ron Rivera was basically asked, what's the problem with the team right now? Why are we so far back in the NFC East? We're the only team in the NFC East that's not positive, not at the very least 4-1. We're literally in the best division in football right now, statistically, win-loss record-wise, and we're just holding it back being 1-4. Now, granted, some of our losses are against NFC East teams, so we're kind of beating up on each other in a way, but even so, we're losing the teams outside of the division, the Detroit Lions and the Titans now, so it wouldn't look as bad if we at least won our outer division games. But still, Ron Rivera was asked why we're so far back in the NFC East. He literally just said quarterback. That's it. But hey, don't take my word for it. Here's the video right here.
Why do you think the teams in the division are farther ahead at this point?
Quarterback. The truth is that this is a quarterback-driven league. And if you look at the teams that have been able to sustain success, they've been able to build it around a specific quarterback.
I mean, he was just super blunt, like literally just quarterback. Rivera did expound upon it a little bit slightly afterwards. He said our quarterback has done some good things. He's had a couple of games where he struggled. Most of the time he's very solid, but the way he performed yesterday just shows you what he's capable of. We chose him because we believe in him. So I think he was just kind of feeling emotional when he was asked that question, and then later on he kind of expounded upon it and was like, actually, I mean, he's done better, and it's not all his fault type of thing. But he did say, quote, the truth is that this is a quarterback-driven league, and if you look at the teams that have been able to sustain success, they've been able to build it around a specific quarterback. And remember, we traded 2 draft picks in the offseason to get Wentz. We gave up a second-round pick of the past draft and a conditional pick that could become a second-round pick based on how much Carson Wentz plays. It would only be a third if he doesn't meet that stipulation. But if he plays enough games, that will turn into a second-round pick, and ultimately 2 second-round picks we gave up for Wentz. And it is worth noting that the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, the New York Giants with Daniel Jones, and the Cowboys with Dak Prescott entered the season with the same starting quarterbacks they had the previous season. But there's no excuse, because you know why? Because Cooper Rush is undefeated 4-0. And Robert Griffin even brought up a good point. First of all, you just never do this to your quarterback, like he said in his tweet. He said the difference between Washington and the rest of the division is coaching. I completely agree. Like I've been saying, the Falcons and the Giants are not more talented than us. They just have way better coaches. If you take our roster and give us like the Giants coaches, we may be undefeated at the very worst, probably 1 or 2 losses, honestly. It's literally coaching for the most part. It's a lot of individual things as well. It's not all on the coaches, but it's definitely mostly the coaches, because even though our offensive line has been one of the main reasons we've been losing, the Giants offensive line hasn't been great either. And yet Daniel Jones was finding a way to at least be an average quarterback and a lot of efficiency ratings. And then the run game is going. They're getting the run game going, all of that type of stuff. And the defense, everybody's in the right positions to make the right plays. They're not very talented. If anything, they lost a lot of talent, but they're out there balling. And Daniel Jones is with a first-time head coach. So even though they don't have a new quarterback, they have an entirely new coaching staff. I mean, top to bottom. And again, the Cowboys entered the season with Dak Prescott as their starter, and Cooper Rush had to come in as a backup quarterback, and now he's undefeated. There's literally no excuses. Definitely coaching more than anything else. Also, it seems like Rivera forgets that not only he's the coach, but he's also the GM. Like, he makes it seem like, well, these are the pieces I have to work with, and this is the best I can do as a coach. But this is you. Like, this is literally you. He talks about how he hasn't been able to build around the quarterback, but you drafted Samuel Cosme, the starting right tackle that hasn't been able to pass protect this season. You chose to let Brandon Sheriff and Ereck Flowers go. Well, technically, Brandon Sheriff was probably going to leave anyway, even if we did offer him way more money, and I believe we did offer him way more money than the Jaguars did, but he just wanted to leave, and that's probably Rivera's fault. Some of it Rivera's fault in that way. way as well. But it's you're one of the main reasons. You, at the very least, you signed off on going from Brandon Sheriff and Ereck Flowers to Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner, and neither have worked out. Even if you want to give Rivera the benefit of the doubt, because again, Brandon Sheriff was probably going to leave anyway, so maybe even just a little bit, you take a little bit of blame away from Rivera for Trey Turner. But the letting Ereck Flowers go for Andrew Norwell is completely inexcusable at this point right now. Please get Ereck Flowers on the phone. Again, like I've been saying, I wouldn't come back to the Washington Commanders unless you paid me crazy money after the way you disrespected me. But Rivera, you at least got to try. It's malpractice if you haven't at least called Ereck Flowers at this point. But it was your decision to sign Andrew Norwell, Trey Turner, and Charles Leno last year. But Charles Leno has played well, so that's one positive. You drafted Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. And I mean, not to say those were bad decisions. I'm very happy we have those guys. But again, this is your team. These are your top 2 running backs, even your 3rd running back. You signed and re-signed J.D. McKissick. You drafted Jahan Dotson, which was good. De'Ami Brown, which is looking like it's starting to pan out. Dax Milne, which is alright receiver-wise, but upsetting me return-wise. You gotta find another answer for that. You're the one that let DeAndre Carter go. Like I said, I would have paid him double what the Chargers are paying him, because there's probably a difference in one win with the impact DeAndre Carter could have had on this team versus Dax Milne, where Dax Milne has just been putting us in ugly starting field positions, and our offense has been struggling to make something out of it. You're the one that signed Curtis Samuel, which this year I'm happy, but last year it looked bad. You're the one that signed Logan Thomas, drafted Bates and Turner. This is literally your team. Within 3 years of being the head coach, and most importantly, my point is the GM, this is your team. So I don't know what this excuse is. I have the pieces and this is all I have to coach with type of excuse that he's coming up with. I'm not exactly understanding that one. This is like literally your team, Rivera. But Rivera went on to apologize to Carson Wentz this morning. He was on the Don Geronimo show this morning, and he said that he addressed the team and talked to Wentz about his comments from yesterday, which he should have, because he definitely shouldn't have said that. He said, quote, "I didn't have to. I was fortunate enough that our media relations director contacted him and let him know," unquote. He also said, quote, "And I actually talked to Carson this morning. In fact, I talked to the whole team. I had a mea culpa moment and that I should know better. I created a little bit of a distraction for the team, and that's one big thing for sure. And that's just allowing more people to poke holes at Carson Wentz. You see Stephen A. Smith and everybody, I mean, they all agree like Rivera shouldn't have said that, but Stephen A. Smith's point is, well, are they wrong? Type of thing. And so now everybody's just kind of jumping on the hate on Carson Wentz bandwagon right now, even though a lot is his fault. A lot of it's his fault. But it's more so the coaches than even him. And I blame the offensive line and the coaches more than I blame Carson Wentz, even though he hasn't done much to really help us. He's left a lot on the field, missing a lot of open throws, being inaccurate, not reading the field and things like that. And then that game losing interception was just more so a bad read than a bad throw. So it's moments like that. But again, he's not the most to blame. Like the fact that Rivera just singled him out and said quarterback, like that's the reason, and it's not the coaches of the offensive line, that's crazy. But going back to Rivera's quote, he said, "I created a little bit of a distraction, and that's one thing that I try not to do, and it's one thing that I'm very aware of." I mean, apparently not yesterday, but again, it's one of those things that when you misstep, people can't wait to dive onto it and jump onto it and hold onto it without an opportunity to explain yourself. So hey, that's on me, I should know better, unquote. And exactly, you know the media and everybody's gonna jump on that when you say quarterback. I mean, that was just so blatant and blunt. I was surprised. I was like, Rivera, like the disciplinarian, the military guy, the guy that's supposed to be at the very least under control, his time management has been atrocious, one of the worst I've ever seen. We used to get on Andy Reid for the bad time management. I think Rivera's topped that at this point. It's actually quite bad. And then just the coaching decisions and personnel decisions that's going on right now. There's a reason we're 1-4, and Carson Wentz again is some of it, but he's not all of it. Most of it is definitely the coaches, and that's on Rivera, because even if he was just simply the head coach, then you could take a little bit of blame off of him. But he wanted a Bill Belichick situation. He wanted total control. He's the top guy. He's the GM. He's literally basically second to the owner, Dan Snyder. And so when you're 1-4, it falls on you when you're the one that wants all of this control. He said, quote, "No, I got no regrets about the quarterback. I think our quarterback has done some good things. There's been a couple of games that he struggled, but you look at his numbers from yesterday and you would say, okay, look, his numbers he's had throughout the year, 3 times he was very solid. And then we had the unfortunate Philadelphia game, and he struggled a little bit in the Dallas game, but the way he performed yesterday, and it just shows you what he's capable of, and we chose him because we believe in him. We chose him because we looked at what we felt were things that pointed towards him, unquote. And like I said, Carson Wentz can take quite a bit of the blame. Even though statistically he looks like a really good quarterback, but if you actually watch the game and really look at the all 22 film and see all of the opportunities he's leaving on the field by guys being open. I mean, Cole Turner juked a corner or a safety, somebody against the Tennessee Titans out of their socks and had like almost 2 yards of separation. Carson Wentz didn't even look his way. Pre-snap, you can literally see Cole Turner's one-on-one. Everybody else has all kinds of jumbled up mess. So if I'm Carson Wentz, I'm literally like, all right, we're going to Cole Turner pre-snap. I'm going to throw this no matter what. Doesn't even look at him. Then, of course, the interception to end the game. It was 2 receivers versus 3 defensive players, where on the other side you had 3 receivers versus 3 defensive players, and it was kind of actually 2v4. So that was like a complete mismatch for our team. Like, it was a disadvantage for us. I don't know why he went that way. I don't care what Scott Turner called. You got to look at that and be like, all right, we'll go to the right side. We have a better chance. That looks like one-on-one across the board. I can believe in my guys to make that play. So it's little things like that where Carson Wentz, I mean, even though he had a good day overall, there were a lot of things left on the field. I mean, the Cam Sims play that had to be reviewed, that was just a bad overthrown ball where Cam Sims was open. It was a lot of little things, but again, at the end of the day, it's more so coaching and the offensive line than anything else. Again, the Giants are 4-1. And if you're looking at both of our rosters on paper, I still take our roster, honestly. But, I mean, even going into this regular season, I was really sad when the Giants hired Brian DeBall and all of the hires that they made, man, because I already knew they were going to be a really well-coached team. I didn't think they would be 4-1 well-coached, especially this season, but it's all in the coaching, completely coaching for them. The fact that the Cowboys are 4-0 with Cooper Rush is all coaching. Can't believe I'm saying it, but Mike McCarthy's actually doing his thing, and Dan Quinn, we already knew was going to do his thing. And then the Philadelphia whole Eagles coaching staff, the way they built an offense around Jalen Hurts. And my main problem with this team for a long time has been, I just don't feel like we're aggressive enough. We play everything safe, and the Eagles were very aggressive at getting talent for this team, trading for Chauncey from the Saints, getting James Bradbury in free agency, going to go get Hassan Reddick, trading for Anthony Brown during the draft. Like, they're doing everything they can to acquire talent, and then drafting well in the draft. Like, they're aggressive. That's the reason the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. They're sorry this year because they put all of their eggs in one basket, but they don't regret winning that Super Bowl because they're halfway sorry this year. I hate the fact that we just play it safe so much, and Dax Milne is literally the logo for playing it safe. Right now, he's literally only our starting punt returner because he doesn't muff punts. But like I keep calling him, he's an automatic fair catch, whether he fair catches it or not, because he's really not going to go anywhere even after he doesn't fair catch the ball. And it's just like, I think that just perfectly encompasses what our team looks like and the mantra of this team right now. We're just playing it super safe in general. I want us to be more aggressive in every way, the way we play on the field, the decisions we make in the offseason. Please, I prefer to swing big and miss than just to not swing at all, man. I'm tired of it. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And of course, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Definitely get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about this whole Rivera and Carson Wentz situation, our injury situation. Are you optimistic about Chase Young potentially playing by Halloween against the Colts? All of that. Catch y'all later. I'm out.